If there was an award for style and creativity, it would have to go to these guys. Look at this thing. Isn't this the coolest looking bike you've seen? Check out this frame. It's just one single tube and the battery fits inside and is huge. The battery goes from the front to the back, which is the biggest battery case I've ever seen. Rockabye, baby. In the front, they have what they call a shelf. This is the first I've seen a carrying compartment underneath the saddle. The length of the bike is like a foot shorter than most bike frames that I've tested. You like to look at that bike?
How much was it?
They're like just over 1,000.
I have an e-bike that was more than that and doesn't look that good.
Well, there you go. There's the validation for how cool this looks. Anyways, let's find out if the performance is as good as it looks. Now, before I dive into performance, if you don't know who these guys are, they are a Chinese-based company, and there really hasn't been a lot of reviews of this bike, so good thing you're here to see what it can do. Now, it costs just over $1,100. They give you a 1-year warranty, and you can test it out for 30 days. If you don't like it, you can send it back free of charge. It is quite heavy, though, for being such a small bike. This weighs 97 pounds. Whew. But even though it is small, it can still carry a lot of weight. This has a rider capacity of up to 330 pounds. Okay, so let's test out how much power this has. Now, to turn on that power, you got 2 NFC cards, and you'll need them because there's no power button along the handlebars. You got these 2 cards, just tap the screen. Actually, you don't even have to touch the screen. Just hold it about a half an inch, and it registers, which is nice because you won't scratch the screen. But first, if you turn it off, and then you leave it in a sketchy tunnel, and somebody wants to take it from you, they're not gonna get far. That back wheel locks up. Okay, so in the rear wheel, you got a 750 watt motor that peaks at 1,000 watts. Then you got 3 speed modes, which is a funny way of changing those. And then on the right side, there's a half twist throttle. And now with everything being set to the highest level, I should be able to reach 28 miles per hour. It looks like I'm topping out at 25 miles an hour. I didn't get 28, but 25 is pretty good for a $1,100 bike. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay that you can't change the LCD screen into miles per hour. It is only kilometers per hour, so just keep that in mind. Now, I would have done a speed test with while pedaling, but I've been having some issues with the cadence sensor. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm actually okay with that because, as you can see, this is a moped style bike. The saddle doesn't raise up. And so even if that sensor did work, I wouldn't use it because when you put the pedal all the way to the top, I'm pretty bunched up. There's like 6 inches between my hand and my knee. With these types of bikes, I only use the throttle. So with that being said, let's see how poppy that throttle is off the line. Okay, let's find out if this can top out in one city block. I'm at the beginning of the block. Down there is the end of the block. Let's see if I can hit 25 miles per hour. Oh, power comes on right away. I'm liking that. And doing good so far. We're climbing. Still climbing. That's actually pretty fast. And there it is. Oh, I just missed it. That was 24 miles per hour. Now when you're moving, let's see how reactive the throttle is. So I'm going about 15 miles an hour. If I release it, it cuts off right away. If I re-engage, a slight delay, but it's not much. The last thing with power is the hill test. Took it to the hill that I always take every bike to. It's a 20% grade, half block long. I started with 0 momentum and was climbing the entire way up. The fastest I got was 8 miles per hour, which I wasn't expecting that for this. It just doesn't feel like it has a ton of torque, but it does. And it decides to show its torquiness when you're climbing. So if you guys got some steep hills in your area, I think you'll be okay. All right, so with a bike that has the biggest battery case I've ever seen, did these guys jam-pack that thing full of batteries? And the answer to that question is no. No, they didn't. But they actually still put a lot of batteries in there. This is a 48-volt, 20 amp hour. Most bikes that I reviewed for around $1,000 are usually about 15 amp hour. Anyways, I thought it was interesting that they gave a recharge time frame of 3.5 to 8 hours. So one day when you charge it, it could take 3 hours. The next week when you charge it, it could take 8. I've never seen that big of a separation, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But they say that when you do fully charge it, you can get a range of 40 to 70 miles. Now I want to talk about brakes, because you got some pretty nice ones for what you're paying. The brand name is K-Tet. Never heard of that brand before, but they're actually very smooth for light and hard braking. Now the left side controls the rear brake, the right side, the front. I like the feel in the levers. It doesn't take a lot of pressure for the brakes to engage. And then when you hit either lever, the tail light flares up and their motor cutoff. So if I got the brake levers pressed, twist the throttle, ain't going nowhere. Release the brake, hit the throttle, and now we're cruising. Now, as far as the ride and feel, sounds, things like that, it sounds pretty good. Only thing I can hear are the tires hitting the road. As far as posture, you know, it's a small bike, so if you're a tall guy, you're gonna feel a little cramped. To give you guys a reference point, I'm 5'11", and honestly, the cockpit isn't that bad. I feel like there's a lot of room here. And with the BMX style handlebars, you have an upright posture. Like, I'm not bending over. This has a rider size rating of 4'11" up to 5'11". Now, some other things that I liked on it are the grips. Thought those were pretty comfortable. The saddle's actually pretty comfortable as well. I've been riding for a couple hours and the tush hasn't gotten that sore. This is also full suspension. The front fork has 70 millimeters of travel. The rear has 180. And honestly, I've actually enjoyed the suspension. Suspension for the price, I would give an 8 out of a 10. The last thing I liked as far as ride and feel are the Cheoyang all-terrain 4-inch tires. They tend to produce more of a soft rubber tire, which takes care of a lot of those smaller vibrations. Really, the only thing I didn't like about the ride is how low the pedals are. I've never seen a company put pedals that were only like 2.5 inches from the ground. And what that means is that when you ride this, especially when turning, is you have to level out the pedals. If you don't, you're gonna hit them a lot and hard, and it may make you crash. I know from experience. Woo, riding it. I think the only thing left to do is just talk about a couple more things I haven't talked about yet. And the first is this cool compartment right there underneath the saddle. I especially like it for today because even though it's winter, I'm getting a little hot. And so I'm gonna take this off, and I could throw this in my backpack, but then I'd have to take it off, unzip it, and that's just a lot of work. Instead, I'm just gonna put that in there, and then I don't like these gloves in here anymore, so I'll throw my gloves in there. And it's actually pretty deep, so it can hold some good stuff. Then the second thing is this front rack with this bungee net. So when you park it and you want to put your helmet somewhere, you could hang it on the handlebars, or you can just stretch this out and put it right there. It's the small things in life. There's also a rear rack with a max capacity of 25 kilograms, so that's gonna be close to 50 pounds. But the coolest accessory these guys have is the option for a second rider. So you have this big long saddle. A single rider isn't gonna take that up unless you're of the bigger variety. But like for me, I could easily put my kid on there. And you can if you buy their accessory that just goes in here, which is a foot peg. Comes out on both sides. And you can have your little kid just chilling right here. You can do the pedaling, they can do the steering. And then the last thing are the lights. So you have a light switch up here. You got daytime and running lights. And when you flick them on, it makes this noise. That's nice. There's turn signals. When you flick them, it makes this noise. I like that because it notifies you that you actually hit that. So if you hit that on accident, you'll know to turn it off. It shows up on the LCD screen, which is a half green circle. And then of course on the taillight, there's a horn. And let me check my notes. Remind them to subscribe and share this video. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, guys, well, that wraps up the review. I'm curious to know what you guys thought of this bike. Do you like the design? Because for me, I love it. $1,100 for a bike that nobody else has. I think that's pretty good. If you want more info, I've got the link below. I'll also see if I can score some sort of coupon code for you guys to save you some money. And that's it. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Woo.